welcome in, however you may be watching here on DIVII Baseball's social media platforms, YouTube page, and however you consume our content. We're grateful for that, and we've got some great content for you upcoming here today. Big weekend upcoming in Division II baseball, and Robert, we're going to break down every single big series upcoming for this weekend. There's a lot of series. We picked a handful of them, about 13 of them, that we really want to dive into and break down. And so for this weekend, these are our favorite upcoming series to watch. So excited to get into those. But first, let's welcome in the brains behind the operation of what is DIVII Baseball on X, a platform that has really grown over the last handful of years. Grateful to be able to help contribute to that, Robert. But man, this is some exciting stuff that we've got going this weekend.
Oh, you got that right. Well, I am fired up. More Division II baseball. I live, breathe, and sleep Division II baseball every weekend. It's, get as much as you can. Watch as much D2 baseball as we can. But we do have a lot of great series coming up here this weekend, and we'll talk a little bit about it, and we'll talk a little bit about some teams are on their respective Florida trips, so some teams are playing like a single game, which is very very cool to see and very fired up. But let's get into it, Will, and we'll start with a team that my eye in the Northeast, and that's Bentley, and they're taking on Molloy in a single game on Friday tomorrow, where it is at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central. And, well, there's a lot to like there. Molloy currently ranked. Bentley, again, caught my eye. They're slashing 334 to start the year, which is very impressive. And fielding 961, have a team OPS of nearly above 950. So that's impressive in itself. But leading that way is Jackson Malonis for Bentley. He's hitting 433. Get this, 433 with an OBP of 424. So he's hitting the ball more than he's getting on base. In that rare case in his 30 at bats, so he's got a home run and 11 RBI. So that's pretty impressive. Molloy, they're better on the pitching side, but we do got to talk about JJ DeVito. He's leading the team in hitting at 353, and he's also a perfect 11-11 on stolen bases. But the guy I want to talk about is probably going to start for Molloy tomorrow, which is Charlie Cucciara, a grad student, the preseason All-American. He's got a 2.81 ERA. He's got a 1.19 whip at 3 starts, 2-0 so far on the season. So that's one game I'm excited for on a single game. And then another game I'm excited for, too, keeping on the Molloy train, is Molloy's going to take on Lynn on Saturday at their place. So Molloy, again, ranked 23rd. Lynn is receiving votes. Lynn has a team 5.03 ERA. They're fielding 966 as well, a 1.47 whip. Lynn's getting on base pretty well, though, a 372 clip. But Molloy, again, on base percentage 433. Really impressive stuff there. And, a team that's, in terms of hitting, Matt Yip for Molloy is leading the team with 3 home runs and an OPS over 1,000. So pretty impressive there. Cole Fowler on the flip side with Lynn is hitting 385 with an OPS over 1,000 and has 20 RBIs, all leading Lynn's team. So really exciting to see those individual games on that end. But we're also going to bring up another team that, Will, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, which is Grand Valley State.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you break that down with Molloy, because obviously going up against Lynn, Robert, Lynn's a great team and a great conference, but Molloy nationally ranked in their own right. And so that'll be fun for Lynn, hosting their own little invitational. And with the rust mats, the carry challenges, the games in Tucson, those are always a lot of fun to follow. But a team that is a lot of fun to follow right now is Grand Valley State. Wayne Cavati talked a little bit about them in this week's issue of D2 Baseball Insider, and for good reason. I mean, they're 7-2 right now, and they've got a couple of big games upcoming this weekend with Ashland. They also play national runner-up from a season ago, Rollins, both at Alphonse Stadium in Winter Park, Florida, in that aforementioned Russ Mat Invitational. And so they'll play Ashland at 11 Eastern and Rollins at 3 Eastern on Saturday, plus a good Wayne State team out of Nebraska on Sunday. So 3 really big games for Grand Valley, coming off just a massive series win against UIndy I think a lot of people are excited about what potentially Grand Valley could do. As we highlight some of those games and teams that are playing, maybe not necessarily in series, but just like we brought up Molloy and Lynn and Molloy and Bentley, Grand Valley's got a couple of big games with Rollins and Ashland coming up. But now, Robert, looking forward to getting into the series. And how we're going to break this down is we'll start with some big non-conference series and then get into conference series as well. And no better way to kick us off than two teams with great records right now, Robert. Lenoir-Rhyne and Tampa in a big series upcoming this weekend. Lenoir-Rhyne out of the SAC, Tampa, number one team in the nation out of the Sunshine State. And this should be a massive matchup here in Tampa, Florida. Tampa's obviously the favorite. They've got the pitching to get it done. And Lenoir-Rhyne's pitching has kind of struggled after starting the year really strong. But this should be a great series. Two offenses that can really go.
Oh, you got that right. And speaking of offense that really go, Tampa currently fourth in Division Two baseball in OBP. They're top 22 in Division, or top 22nd, excuse me, in Division Two in OPS as well, with that 965 figure. And speaking of on the flip side too, with Tampa, they're best in the country in ERA at 2.31 and WHIP at 1.07 walks and hits per innings pitched. So really exciting to see that stuff there. They're also fielding at a high clip at 972. But again, Lenoir-Rhyne's offense, they're hitting 312 with an OBP of 412 and slugging 475. They lead the sack and strikeout rate on the mound at 22%. So really exciting there. But offensively for Lenoir-Rhyne, there's two guys we want to highlight. Tyler McPeak, he's hitting 370 with 5 home runs and 24 RBI. And Blake Bean has 17 RBI with a 392 batting average and 6 RBI. So can they perform against the guys like Skylar Gonzalez, Alex Canny for Tampa? And speaking of Skylar Gonzalez, their ace, who has now pretty much performed as their ace, he's 5-0 with a .36 ERA through 25 innings. And Alex Canny is 4-0 with 5 starts with a 2.63 ERA. So, I mean, they're number one for a reason. They did lose earlier this week to Seton Hill, but they're going to come back with a vengeance, and we'll see how they perform there, and we'll see how Lenoir-Rhyne takes it. Tampa scored 214 runs in 18 games. Again, their run differential is absolutely wild at plus 157. It's unbelievable. EJ Cumbo's hitting 371, Stephen Klein's hitting 373, but those two guys we talk a lot about, especially in the past, but Santiago Garavito, the catcher, is hitting 407 for the Spartans. So this is going to be a tough team to beat. I mean, no matter what you play. And, you're playing at the Birdcage. I mean, playing Tampa at home, that's going to be very tough. So in terms of our biggest non-conference series, that is definitely it, with Lenoir-Rhyne sitting at 14-7 and Tampa at 17-1. But now we're going to shift into conference play, and how this is going to work is we're going to go alphabetically by conferences of games that we have, highlighted. And then within those conferences, games are in no particular order. So we'll just talk a little bit about those and talk a little bit about there. But the last thing I will say about the Tampa series, it will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. With weather, you'll hear us a lot saying a lot of these games will be Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, things along those likes. So, but at the end of the day, too, they are subject to change. So the series will be Friday at 6 Eastern, Saturday at 3 Eastern, and Sunday at 12 Eastern for that Lenoir-Rhyne Tampa series. But will kick us off with the CCAA and a couple games that are going to fire us up, respectively, to talk about action there for series to watch.
Yeah, definitely. When you look at the CCAA, you've got Cal State Monterey Bay, who's ranked 25th in our D2BI latest rankings, and they're going up against a team that we've been high on, San Fran State, who's 12-6 right now. They're both 6-2 within conference play. This is going to be at San Fran State, so in San Francisco at Maloney Field. It's going to be a Saturday, Sunday doubleheader on each day. And so in the 4-game set, there's a lot of things to watch, but the biggest thing for me is this Monterey Bay offense going to continue to hit the ball like they have? They're hitting 347 as a team right now. They also lead the conference in fielding percentage and strikeout rate. But when you go and you look at San Fran State, they've thrown the ball well on the mound. They're second in the league in ERA and WHIP. So it's going to be San Fran's pitching against Monterey Bay's offense. That's where it feels like the big matchup is. And for Monterey Bay, obviously, JJ Quillisi with a 412 average, hitting an OPS above 1,300 is pretty good. And then JJ Ingman, I mean, he had that massive 13 for 20 week. He's certainly a guy to watch and leads the charge with 6 home runs this season. But for San Fran State, Lafieri hitting 468. Derek Lafieri, a guy to watch, 6 doubles on the team. Justin Johnson's already driven in 22 runs, and he's hitting 364 with 4 homers. But the thing for them, if they want to have success, they have to continue to get good production out of their starting pitching. Ryan Garza, he's been a really good starter. David Eichhorn, and then Nathan Shin. That 3-man rotation, obviously you need 4 in a series like this in conference play. But those 3 across 15 starts, 5 each for them, they've combined for 83 strikeouts. So all these starters have good strikeout stuff. Eichhorn's got a sub-1 whip. He's 3-0. Garza is 2-1 with a 2.54 ERA. So those good starting pitchers going up against Monterey Bay's offense, that should be a lot of fun and definitely a series to watch in CCAA action.
Absolutely. You know, when you want to talk about CCAA, again, we think a lot of it about those teams out in California to have a pitching staff, a strong pitching staff. However, you don't think a lot about the bats, but the Monterey Bay bats are performing at a high level. Again, with that slash line hitting 347, OBP of 444, and slugging 537, they are first in the CCAA in all 3 of those categories. So we'll see how that offense performs against a good San Francisco State team, like you said. That pitching staff, we'll see how they perform at home against a great offense in Cal State Monterey Bay. But another conference series within the CCAA that we're going to highlight is Cal State San Bernardino against Cal State San Marcos. And why we want to highlight that is San Bernardino, again, the reigning West Region champions. They appeared in Cary last year. They're currently 8-8, 1-5 in the CCAA. They're looking to bounce back, and it's mainly because they're having struggles on offense. But Cal State San Marcos has won 7 in a row. They're 8-5, 7-1 in the CCAA, and they're going to get a lot of attention if they perform well this weekend. So as of right now, the series will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in San Marcos, California, and well, with San Marcos, I mean, they're third in the conference in OBP and slugging, 414 and 467 respectively. They have a team 5.86 ERA with a 1.63 whip. They've struck out 20% of their batters, which we'll see how that performs against San Bernardino's, struggling a little bit again on offense, only hitting 259. But on the pitching side of things, they have the best ERA, they have the best whip, and the best strikeout percentage all in the CCAA. 3.66 ERA, 1.27 whip, and they've struck out nearly 25% of batters. Pretty impressive stuff there. Third in the CCAA in fielding percentage, and 139 strikeouts to just 41 walks in strikeout to walk ratio, and that's always a strong indicator of a team's success in getting to Cary. Benny Olguin has a .81 ERA through 4 starts with a 1.07 whip through 22 1/3 innings. Daniel Garcia Jr. is hitting .423 with 5 doubles and a 1,060 OPS on the season. Again, San Marcos, they've won 7 in a row. Ethan Rivera doing well there, hitting .387 with a couple home runs. But as a team, they have 5 players with 10-plus RBIs, and that really helps, being top 3 in their conference with OBP and slugging. Kelly Preston, through 6 appearances, has 10 innings and is not allowed an earned run with 2 saves. They've hit 28 doubles through 13 games. And so within those series, the CCAA, that wraps up our series to watch in the CCAA. But will kick us off with one of the better conferences in Division II baseball, if not one of the best, and that's the Conference Carolinas.
It is, and this is a top 25 battle between number 21 Mount Olive. They're 12-5, 5-1, in Conference Carolinas play against North Greenville, who has started the year 17-3, and they're undefeated 6-0 so far within conference play. Number 21, Mount Olive at number 2, North Greenville. So a top 25 battle should be a lot of fun in Tigerville, South Carolina. I'm looking forward to this one. Saturday and Sunday is what's on the docket for this series. 1 Saturday, 2 Sunday. And with North Greenville, I mean, they're hitting 313 or 325 as a team. They're top 25 in the country in average on base and slugging. Their slash line's legit. Their pitching is legit. They have an under 3.5 ERA as a team. But this Mount Olive team has some good arms too. They field the ball well. They're the best fielding team in the league right now, and they're top 30 in OBP as well. And they hit 313 as a team. So 2 high-powered offenses. That when you talk about North Greenville, right now, you have to talk a lot about David Lewis, a guy who's hitting 473, leads Division II in home runs, RBIs, total bases. He's on a torrid pace right now, a record-breaking pace right now, which is really impressive. And then Reese Fields, fresh off that 15K no-hitter. How can he continue to perform? We think he should. He's 5-0 on the season. 34 innings pitched. He has a .79 ERA. His whip is about .5. He has got 48 Ks to 5 walks. That's best in D2 in strikeouts, and opponents are hitting a $114 off him. He is really good. He'll have to go up against a guy like Vito Patinero, who's hitting 435, leads the team in nearly every category, 4th in the conference in hitting, and a guy like Eric Johnson on the hill who can pose some challenges potentially to a North Greenville lineup. That's going to be fun to see. He's 2-0 with a 2.02 ERA. 31 strikeouts and 3 walks and 22 and a third. And he's also coming off a gem when he had 7 shutout innings against Young Harris, a team we had ranked very high last week with 11 Ks and no walks. So Johnson and Fields potentially going up against each other could be a lot of fun to see. But overall, you got 2 really good teams, 2 of the best teams in the country going at it here in this series.
Yeah, you got that right. Well, I mean, Eric Johnson for Mount Olive is usually their game 2 starter, and Reese Fields is the ace for North Greenville. But really hoping, since the series got moved back to game 1 being Saturday, really hoping we get an Eric Johnson-Reese Fields matchup, because these are 2 of the best arms in the Conference Carolinas. Really excited to see that. But while we transition, speaking of another great arm and another series to watch, is a series between 2 ranked teams, again, both in the Conference Carolinas, and that's number 20 Barton against number 7 Young Harris. And speaking of great pitching, Tanner Halverson of Barton, absolutely impressive on the mound. He threw 8 strikeouts over 6 in his last start, and he's 4-0 with a 2.89 ERA, 8th in the conference. 43 strikeouts to 3 walks. That's impressive. He's 3rd in Division II baseball right now in strikeouts. And, well, he can do it on both sides of the plate, because right now he's hitting .298 with 16 RBIs. And so that's equally impressive for a team that currently is top 8 in the country in batting average. They're 2nd in the country in on-base percentage at .480, .346 batting average. They get on base at a high level. They hit at a high level. And speaking of hitting at a high level, John McNamee, he's hitting .462 so far this season. He's 2nd in Conference Carolinas in on-base percentage at .607 and 5th in slugging at .744. Jared Beebe, also for Barton, .397, .522, .534, a high-level performer at third base for Barton. And when we talk about another team, it's Young Harris. Again, they're ranked 7th in our D2BI poll. Jeremy Bagora is hitting .375. He leads the team with 12 extra base hits. And Jack Enrico is hitting .338. He leads the team in average, and he leads the team with 20 runs batted in. And we should expect Dylan Beck to come out of the bullpen. He has 9 appearances. Get this, 9 appearances, 4-0. He has 3 saves, a 1.16 ERA, and a 1.03 whip. He's also allowing a 181 batting average again. So essentially nearly every appearance that Dylan Beck has came into, he's either gotten a win or a save. So that usually spells good success for Young Harris. Really excited to see this, as it's taking on in Young Harris, Georgia. It's the first time these two teams are meeting, as Young Harris is in their first season in the Conference Carolina. So absolutely excited to see this one.
Me too. Me too. I mean, for this conference right now, you got two top 25 battles. That's got to be exciting for Conference Carolinas in general. With what we just talked about, those two series, a ton of fun. And as we transition, a really fun series out of the Midwest region in the Great Lakes Valley Conference, it's UIS, who's now receiving votes in our latest poll against the Rockhurst team that started the year off 8-3. It's going to be at Loyola Park Baseball Field in Kansas City, Missouri, as Rockhurst welcomes UIS. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is scheduled for the 4-game GLVC set. And for UIS and Rockhurst, both of these teams are raking right now. So I would expect a ton of runs, especially in a 4-game series. You're going to see a ton of runs. Both teams' team ERAs are above 6, but both teams are also hitting above 320, Robert. So you're going to see both teams can hit, and both teams have struggled to pitch it. So I would think whoever can throw the ball well in this series will get it done. UIS with the traditional power, but Rockhurst with the strong start. You know that they're looking forward to continuing that. The Prairie Stars have won 4 in a row. They've got Bram Vanneman, a guy who's hitting 380 with 19 runs driven in, tons of extra base hits for him. Mark Catula has come into this program and played at a high level. And UIS has a couple of pieces out of the bullpen that are really nice, like Adam Wibbenmeyer, who's got a couple of saves and 5 appearances out of the pen across 12 innings. He hasn't allowed a run. For Rockhurst, for me, it's all about Adonis Forte, who's hitting 436 with 5 doubles. Cole Wagner spraying doubles with 7 of them on the year, hitting 387. A couple really good lefties in their lineup that I think would challenge some of the UIS arms and some of the good righties that they have on the hill that they start. So that's going to be fun to see. If you see whatever team takes this series, definitely going to be needing to get some national recognition depending on what they do. And this is definitely the biggest series to watch in the GLVC here this weekend, with a 9-4 team taking on an 8-3 team.
Oh, you got that right. Well, and the GLVC, it really could be anybody's conference right now in terms of the teams. No team has really stood out, but right now these two teams have stood out the most. UIS has that pedigree, but Rockhurst starting off strong at 8-3. But in terms of starting off strong, we're going to go to the Gulf South Conference, where we have 3 series to watch, and we will break down all 3 for you here shortly. But the first one we want to talk about is a ranked West Florida team. They're ranked number 10 in the country according to our poll, the D2BI poll, and against Mississippi College, who is 10-6 and 3-3 in the Gulf South Conference. West Florida sitting at 12-5 and 5-1 at inside the Gulf South Conference. This game will be played in Clinton, Mississippi at Frierson Field. It will be a doubleheader Saturday and a single Sunday, as the series was moved. But speaking of, interesting things to see, this will be another great matchup of strong pitching and strong hitting. Mississippi College currently top 10 in Division II in both slugging and OPS. They're 6th in the country in slugging, 10th in OPS. In West Florida is top in the Gulf South Conference in ERA at 4.37, and they're second at WHIP at 1.48. So it's going to be a battle of strong pitching against strong hitting. West Florida has a 2.47 strikeout to walk ratio there. That's 27th in the NCAA. Gary McDowell, who was fresh off a player of the week in the Gulf South Conference, he has the 4th best average and leads the conference in RBIs per game. He's hitting 426 with a OPS over 1250. They have 26 RBIs. He has 26 RBIs, 11 extra base hits, 6 home runs, 5 doubles. Dylan Lawson is 3-0 with a 1.69 ERA. Dalton Newshander is 3-1 with a 2.33 ERA and has a 190 batting average against. And Cade Manderscheid is 3-0 with a 3.09 ERA. They've all gone 5 or more innings in each of their last 2 starts. Mississippi College is hitting 315 as a team and has a 999 OPS as a team. They've already hit 31 home runs through 16 games, and they're top 10 in the nation in slugging, as I mentioned earlier. And that's led by Wesley Sides, who's hitting .457 with 7 home runs and 17 RBI, 3 doubles, and a triple on the season, leading the offense. He's walked 19 times and struck out only 6 times, and he's at the top of the leaderboard in Division II baseball with a OBP of 623 at the top. So they've only committed 13 errors, and they are at .977 fielding percentage, which is 22nd in the nation, and leading the Gulf South Conference, as that is one of 3 conferences that we will talk about in the Gulf South as series to watch.
Oh, yeah. Another one is Delta State, Robert, and Alabama Huntsville. Delta State receiving votes. Alabama Huntsville, though, is going to welcome them in as it's a battle between 2 12-win teams. However, Alabama Huntsville, after a really strong start, they're just 1-5 in conference play. Delta State 5-1. And so it's going to be fun at Charger Park in Huntsville, Alabama this weekend. So much so that we should mention, if you want to go, free admission for you. If you do want to go, we got that off their website. And one thing about Delta State, man, they're hitting .313 as a team. Their staff has 170 Ks already in 166 innings. Dylan Coleman's leading the way for them. 10 extra base hits for him if through 14 games. He's got 20 ribbies, and he's hitting .476. I mean, this is a Delta State team that is second in the conference in hitting, but Alabama Huntsville can hit too. I mean, they're hitting .309 as a squad. Both teams' ERAs are north of 6, so another series that should see a lot of runs. Merrick Carter's hitting .433, 1,200 north of that on his OPS with 20 ribbies. And then Carson Villata has 7 doubles. He's hitting .375. Shoot, he's been hit by 13 pitches as well this year. Corey Hadgood, that's a big story in this series because he leads the nation with 6 saves out of the bullpen, but they started him last week versus nationally ranked West Florida, and he went 5 innings, allowed 2 earned. He hadn't thrown more than an inning in the third in his previous 7 outings, but they used him in the starting role because Alabama Huntsville's been struggling with a 6.57 ERA as a staff with their starting pitching, and maybe he's a guy that can help that, but definitely a big series to watch.
Oh, you got that right. Well, and the big series to watch, and the final big series to watch is West Georgia at Montevallo. And West Georgia and Montevallo is, Montevallo is 11-7, 3-3 in the Gulf South, as I'm butchering their pronunciation completely. And West Georgia is 10-8, 6-3 in the Gulf South. As this will be another series, there'll be a doubleheader Saturday, one Sunday, and that is through Montevallo's paid site through the Play site. So make sure you have that if you want to watch it. But West Georgia coming in with the Gulf South leading .426 OBP. They're fielding .964. Jack Whitmer is hitting .412 with a OPS above 1,100. Cooper Prince is .439 to start the season with 17 RBI. Jonathan Hickman's been strong out of the bullpen for the Wolves, 2-0 through 7 appearances out of the pen with 1 save. He has a .293 ERA and a .94 WHIP. Again, mentioned that they're getting on base better than anybody else at .429. For Montevallo, Connor Croson is hitting .379 with a team-high 25 hits and 19 RBIs. 5 players with 3 or more home runs. Gino Cozy went 5 1/3 shutout innings for a good Delta State offense last week, and he's 3-1 in the season with a .333 ERA through 5 appearances, 4 starts. Again, that will be a Saturday doubleheader, single Sunday. Montevallo is hosting that, and so you have to access the video stream through their video platform on PlaySite, which is a paid site.
Yes, absolutely. And as we continue, Robert, how about let's move on to a big series out of the MIAA. Pittsburg State at Rogers State. Rogers State now receiving votes in our latest poll, a 13-win team in Pittsburg State against a 12-win Rogers State team. Pitt State 13-5, 4-2 in MIAA play, while Rogers State 12-4, and they're 5-1 right now in MIAA play. So 2 teams that have started the year strong. It's going to be a lot of fun in Claremore, Oklahoma at the Diamond Sports Complex as Rogers State will welcome Pitt State for a Saturday, Sunday, Monday 3-game set. In MIAA action, Pitt State hitting 333 as a team. They're sixth in Division II in slugging and OPS, and they're a top 10 D2 team in whip. So Pitt State has done some really good things this year. But for Rogers State, it's all about AJ Folds right now. He's got an OPS above 1,000. Octavio Sanchez has 4 saves in 5 appearances, and Joel Escalante and Jake Mitchell are each tied for the team lead. They each have 3 home runs. For Pitt State, Blake Mosley's hitting 410. Nixon Brandon's hitting 356 with 4 homers. And Carson Coffey, a guy we've talked to for his Player of the Week performance already this year, he leads the team with 27 runs driven in and 7 home runs. Rogers State hitting about 300 as a team. Pitt State 333. MIAA, one of the best offensive leagues in the country, and you would expect that run production to be pretty high. But whoever can throw the ball better is definitely going to be the team that can come out on top in this big 3-game set in MIAA action.
Yeah, and outside of your typical stalwarts of 2 teams in the top 5 and Central Missouri at 3, Missouri Southern at 5, these are 2 great teams to watch this weekend. Again, MIAA Network, that is a paid stream, but absolutely worth it to get that paid stream for the MIAA Network. But as we're going across the network, now we're going to the PSAC Digital Network, and a team that we're going to talk about, 2 teams that are starting conference play this weekend, is Bloomsburg and Millersville. And the reason we want to bring that up is Millersville has always been a stalwart team. They're ranked number 4 in our poll, but Bloomsburg has a heck of an offense. They have 2 guys who are currently leading the nation in hitting. Wyatt Metzger hitting a gaudy 652. Josh Wilson hitting 619. As this series will be at the Coop, it will be a typical PSAC series where you're going to see 2 games at the Coop on Friday, but then 2 games at Bloomsburg on Sunday. And instead of playing your typical Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, it's going to be a doubleheader Friday at Millersville and a doubleheader Sunday at Bloomsburg. So having that in there as well. But Bloomsburg, again, hitting 309 as a team with 2 guys in the top. They've combined, those 2 guys I mentioned earlier, combined for nearly half the team's hits. Will Dean has gone 7 innings and 2 appearances out of the bullpen, is not allowed to earn a run. But Millersville, they're 27th in the country in batting average, 328. They're 5th on the mound in strikeout percentage in the NCAA at 28.5%. And they have a 980 fielding percentage, which is tied for 13th in the NCAA. Millersville does very well on the bases. They're 41-52 on the season with stolen bases through 13 games, and they're hitting, again, 320, not 328, 320 as a team. Alex Mycutt is 3-0 through 4 starts with a 1.14 ERA and a .89 whip with 30 strikeouts. He's gone 5+ and has surrendered 1 or fewer runs in each of his 4 starts. Matthew Williams, the big man, is hitting .460 with 10 doubles and 3 home runs on the season with a 1388 OPS. So covering the PSAC, that is a series to watch in the PSAC.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, Wyatt Metzger and Josh Wilson, certainly 2 guys that are leading the country in hitting on average right now. But for Bloomsburg, hitting 309 as a team, you'd think that'd be a little bit higher. But with the guys hitting 652 and 619, respectively, with Metzger and then Wilson. But like you said, it's mainly them. And so who else can go? Because Millersville's a team. They'll strike you out. They'll run. They're just so good. And that's why we have them ranked 4th, and definitely something to watch. Another series to watch, Colorado Mesa at MSU Denver out of the RMAC. And this is going to be at the Assembly Athletic Complex in Denver, Colorado, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for the 4-game RMAC set. And for MSU Denver, always a traditional power offensively, hitting 310 as a team. They're 2nd in the conference in offensive slash lines, but they have an 8.34 team ERA. Going up against Mesa, though, a team that is known to usually have the best offense in the country. They've started the year 7-7. MSU Denver 9-9. But it's the reason why we highlight this series is because these have been the top 2 traditional teams in the RMAC over the last handful of years. And Joey Blank's hitting 395, 17 hits in just 11 games for Mesa. They're a team that did not play last weekend, so maybe that slower start's frustrated. They're going to come out and pay a visit to Denver, Colorado with a little bit of vengeance. And Cole Seward is 2-0 on the hill with a 1.56 ERA, a sub-1 whip, 17 innings and 3 starts. And obviously they have the All-American freshman from last year in Liam Hohenstein, who had a little bit of some rough starts in here, but you definitely expect him to be a guy that is going to be dominant throughout this year. And for speaking of dominance, that's what Zach Schuler's been his entire career for MSU Denver. He's hitting 397 again, raking this year. Andrew Graham's hitting 351. Andre Chacon is hitting 10 of 21 through 10 games. He's now started 6, kind of turning on as of late as well. For an MSU Denver offense that always seems to put up a lot of runs. Same with Mesa. That ball flies on the RMAC. We know that. It will be flying in Denver, Colorado. So that should be a fun series, especially both these teams trying to at least turn their seasons to get above 500. And there's an opportunity to do that for both of these teams this weekend.
You got that right. Well, I mean, again, 2 stalwarts in the conference, and we'll see how they play out the rest of the season. But I know that they're performing below expectations and want to improve over this weekend. So the last game that we'll cover, we're going to the SAC, the South Atlantic Conference, and we're going to talk about 2 teams that Limestone and Lincoln Memorial. It'll be in Gaffney, South Carolina at Founder FCU Stadium. Limestone just came off a 9-game winning streak. They did lose to North Greenville in the midweek. Lincoln Memorial defeated Receiving Votes Lee in a midweek contest as well. So interesting to see how this plays out. Again, Lincoln Memorial was in our top 25. They did lose to 2 or 3 over UVA-wise over the weekend. They dropped out. Limestone now receiving votes in our poll. Very interested to see how this plays out. That the SAC conference is wide open. Anybody could take it. Again, like Lenoir-Rhyne's a good team, but these 2 teams are at the top of the SAC. So very interested to see how this plays out. So it'll be a 1-game Friday, 2 games on Saturday. And for Lincoln Memorial, they have the best offense in the SAC. They lead all 3 categories with a 328 average, 435 OBP, and 559 slugging. And that's led by Carson Bowles. He's hitting 493, and that should be enough said. But 5 home runs, 9 doubles, nearly hitting 500 in 69 at-bats. They're third in the SAC in strikeout percentage at 20.7%, and Lincoln Memorial is also 15th in Division II in fielding percentage at 979. Limestone, they are hitting. Cyan Barnett is leading that team, hitting 353 with 25 RBIs through 19 games, 4 home runs, 4 doubles, and 2 triples. Davis Turner, in his limited action, has a 417 average on the season. He came off an impressive week where he had 8 hits. Winston Park has scored 29 runs through 21 games, and Colt Wilkins is 3-0 through his 5 starts with a 2.33 ERA and a 1.07 WHIP. So that will round out our series to watch this weekend. Again, every series is a series worth watching in Division II baseball, but these are the sums that we want to highlight and bring to you light of all these great teams and all of these great players.
Amen to that, Robert. Great series, like you mentioned. Will be a lot of fun. You can follow along if you're not already at DIVII Baseball on social media to get more information about all these series going on, numbers, information, links of how to follow, how to watch. We'll provide that for you because a lot of these series, like we mentioned, everything catches our eye, but these are ones that feel like either they have higher importance, they're ranked matchups, they're big swing series, they're rivalries, whatever they may be. And we tried to highlight that across a handful of conferences, at least in this one. So thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to hear from you guys soon on DIVII Baseball on X. And again, enjoy a weekend of watching some good baseball.